My dear friends, welcome back. So, in this chapter, we are going to start with chapter number 9, and this chapter deals with the type of life that we have, the type of life you will come across when you will visit the temperate grasslands. Okay, basically, in this chapter, we have to deal with two types of grasslands. Both of these are, of course, temperate grasslands. One of those will be the prairies in the Canada and the USA, that is North America, and the other one will be the velds in South Africa. Now, before we start this chapter, if you do not have watched my lecture on the grasslands, I must tell you, just go through that. You will have some conceptual clarity with regard to grasslands, the type of ecosystem we have, and particularly the temperate grasslands. What are the salient features that we have in the temperate grasslands? In this chapter, we will come across how life exists in the temperate grasslands through the examples of prairies and the velds. In this video, we are going to look into the life that we have in the prairies, the type of agricultural system, the economic practices, the people who live, and what the type of habitations, what is the type of crops grown here. Okay, so these are some things which we will look into in this video. So let's start now. So this chapter is about life in the temperate grasslands. Now when we talk about grasslands, we know we have two type of grasslands on the earth, the tropical and the temperate grasslands. Now we have already dealt with all these things in a separate video we have on this channel, so you can go through that. We will restrict ourselves to this discussion only. Okay, so when we talk about prairies, prairies is the name that is given to the temperate grassland in North America. Okay, we have already looked into how the same grassland is named in different country by different name. Okay, so in the same fashion, we have prairies, that is name given to the temperate grasslands in the northern part of America. Northern America. Northern America means we are dealing with the continent. Okay, so we know that there is a North America, and similarly we have South America. So we are dealing with North America, in which we will be dealing with two countries, the USA and the Canada. Now let us look at the geographical location that we have of this grassland. When you look into the location of something, you will automatically get some idea about how the temperature could have been in this type of grasslands. Okay, so first, it is bounded by Rocky Mountains in the west and the Great Lakes in the east. Now look at this map. This is the map of North American continent. So this is North America continent, and if you will see this dotted line, these are basically the Rocky Mountains that we have. So this is Rocky Mountains, which runs from northernmost part to the southernmost part of North America, even beyond that, and it forms, and it also passes through this is basically the grassland I'm talking about. So this is the grassland, this is the prairies that we have. Okay, so this is the prairies, and as you can see that this prairies is bounded by Rocky Mountains from here to here in the west side, and in the to the Great Lakes, which is which lies in the eastern part of this prairies. Okay, so this is the basic concept about geographical location. Now this prairies cover, major portions of the prairies are in the North America, sorry, the USA. So this is the USA. This line separates this Canada and USA. So two countries are involved here, USA and Canada, as you can see in this map also. Okay, now this, what will be the temperature in this grassland? So if you will come across the temperature that exists in this grassland, you will see that temperatures here are extreme. And when I say extreme temperatures, I mean that the temperatures in summer season will be higher, and in winter season will be much chiller. For example, if in summer you will see 20 degrees Celsius in summer season. Now in temperate regions 20 degrees Celsius temperature is a significant temperature. Although in tropical regions in which we live or in equatorial regions, particularly in tropical regions, 20 degrees Celsius temperature is not considered so much higher temperature. But in temperate regions, this is a significant amount of temperature. And in winter, it goes to minus 20 degrees Celsius. So can you see the temperature fluctuations in summer and winter season? So W here means the winter season. So this is why we call it the extreme temperatures that is found there. Okay. And Chinook, it is a very important wind here. Chinook is a hot wind which blows in winter. Okay. So what is happening here? Chinook is a hot wind which is blowing in winter. So when in winter this wind enters into this prairies area or the North American area, the temperature abruptly rises up. So that is a significance of Chinook here. Now the whole grassland, if you will see, is mostly treeless. That you will not find trees in this grassland. Although there may be fewer trees, but that too would be very shorter height trees. Okay, so mostly these are treeless, and of course the Blackfoot Indians that live here are the indigenous people. Okay, so these are the indigenous people. Indigenous means they are original aborigines of this area. They are the original habitats. So they are the original habitats of this area. Okay, so this is the home of American Indians. We call them American Indians or the Blackfoot Indians. Okay, and they are basically the indigenous people that live in the prairies area. Okay, now you have to understand that this prairies, we have already discussed this, I am repeating it, this prairies is called the granaries of the world. And why this area is called, this prairies is called the granaries of the world? The reason being, this area, witnessed the production of the surplus production of wheat, and that surplus is used. When we say something as being produced in surplus quantity, this means that whatever requirement is there, the production is much higher. Suppose if the requirement of wheat in North America, in the USA and Canada, is suppose 5 kg, just a hypothetical situation, then the production is like 100 kg. So that means 95 kg being produced is surplus. So where will this surplus go? This surplus is exported to different parts of the world. So that is why this area is called granaries of the world, because of huge surplus of the wheat production here. As you know, wheat does not require so much amount of water. This is not a water intensive, rain intensive crop. That is why in this grassland you will see that wheat is produced in a very significant amount, and in that amount that it the farmers here are able to produce wheat in a very large amount of surplus quantity. Okay, and then these wheats are exported to different parts of the world. Okay, now there are also cattle farming that is taking place here, and there are large cattle farms there, and these cattle farms are called ranches. Okay, these ranches are controlled by a very sturdy man. Okay, and these are the also areas where you will find different types of cattles. When I say, you will find some sheep, you may find cows and all those things in these ranches. Okay, and they are reared here very scientific way of keeping cattle is practiced here. You have scientific practice that is taking place here. You have some a specialized types of crops that are grown particularly for feeding these cattle. Okay, and that too in a scientific way. And then you have modern way of animal husbandry that is taking place in these ranches. Now when it comes to the agricultural practices that is taking place in the prairies, now this area is not very densely populated. So what is happening here is a large amount of agricultural field is controlled by few number of farmers or agriculturalists. What is the conception of farmer that you have about the Indian farmers that is totally different when it comes to these farmers of the prairies? Actually, they are business agripreneurs. They are business, they are businessmen, not subsistence farmers that we have. When we compare Indian and American farmers, there are stark contradictions. Suppose if Indian farmers have an average size of this amount of land, Americans will have even much greater than this amount of land. So basically you will find that it is less than 2 hectare, and in America you will find that if it is even more than 200 hectares of land. So that is the difference that we have in the amount of land holding that is here. And then if you have sought this a smaller pieces of land you have, you cannot deploy too much of machineries here, because you are more reliant on human labor, family labor. But in America the farmers have that much too much big amount of land parcels, so you have to deploy technology. So what is going on here is the use of high-tech agricultural technology. These are high-tech and sophisticated as well. Means the agricultural practices that is taking place here is much advanced and less human intensive, less labor intensive, much reliant on technology, much reliant on machines. Means in these farms you may find 2 to 3 laborers working, and in this 2 hectare farm you will find that more than 5 to 6 laborers are working. So that is the difference that we have in these two farms. In India, the level of machines that is deployed in agricultural practices is much more. Most of the work are done by human labor. And in America, more than 95% of agricultural work is done by these machines. And in India, it is more or less than 40 or 45%. So this is the stark difference that we have. Okay, now for example, we have a combiner. Combiner is a type of agricultural machine that can, simultaneously do multiple things. For example, it can do sowing, it can plow field, it can also thresh the grains that have been collected. So combiner means a combination of different type of agricultural machinery, okay, that can do multiple jobs simultaneously. So this was the basic idea that we have with regard to prairies. Just remember 2 to 3 things, and you will be done. For example, remember that this is the uh, granaries of the world. This is a very important concept that you must know. Granaries of the world. And why it is called granaries of the world? Because of huge surplus of wheat production taking place here. In addition to this wheat production, we have also maize production that is taking place in large quantity here. And in addition to that, we have potatoes, alfalfa crops, soybean. These are some crops that are grown, but majorly this is a wheat producing area. Okay, so these are the basic information that you must have with regard to the prairies of North America. So we will restrict ourselves in this video up till here. In the next video, we will look into the life in the wilds of South Africa. That is another temperate grassland wilds. You are very much aware of that. Okay. So let's restrict ourselves in this video up till here, and we will meet in the next video, and we will talk about the life that exists in wilds in South Africa. Up till then, goodbye, take care, and get revising the things so that you cannot afford to forget any type of concept that comes in between these topics. Okay, so take care, goodbye, thank you.